I'm curious about what you've done to prepare for the job, to better familiarize yourself with the way county government operates, or to better familiarize yourself with home rule.
Well, since the primary, I've spent a lot of time obviously reviewing the charter, making sure I understood the passages that are very necessary to get that information. I also have interviewed many people, I shouldn't say interview, have had conversations with many people regarding their positions with the county, how the operation works, what department, get a general idea of each and every department so that I can have a better understanding of each of the operations. Also, I've spent a lot of time talking to people out in the community to see what their expectations are and to see what kind of things they're looking forward to. And I believe at this point in time, I think I've gotten a pretty good and wide range of opinions and information from all those different sources.
Regarding the county employees you talk with, are you talking to managers, or are you talking to rank and file?
I think it's important to talk to all the levels, whether it be management, supervisors, rank and file. I like to get the perspective from all the different levels.
And what are you hearing from people in the community? What are they saying is important to them right now?
I think what's important to them is a good, efficient county government that operates honestly, openly, and with the best intent for the residents of the county.
Have you attended meetings of the Home Rule Transition Committee?
Yes, I have. I have went to several meetings throughout the summer. I've also kept abreast of the meetings I've missed through the online information that's provided, the minutes, the agendas. I did attend an ethics committee meeting that was a separate from the actual home rule transition meeting to get a feel for that particular policy.
And based on those meetings that you've been to and the reading that you've done, do you feel comfortable that the transition committee is where it needs to be at this point in the process?
I think I think the transition committee has been working very hard. There's an awful lot of ground to cover. I mean, when you think about the situation, you're moving from one form of government to a totally different form of government with a whole different format. You're moving where the row offices pretty much run autonomously to a format where the county manager is going to have direct control over all those different divisions. They have a lot to do. I think they've worked through a lot of good things. They've started a lot of the process. I think they have to work more on finishing some of the policies. But they're working hard. And I give them a lot of credit. They've devoted a lot of time and energy to that.
Excuse me, just a matter of those blinds, are they okay for you?
Oh, yeah. That's fine. Sure.
Sorry, we're just trying to be consistent in the way that we present these things.
No problem.
If elected to the council, how much time do you expect to dedicate to the post?
I will dedicate whatever amount of time necessary. I'm in the point in my career where I will be retiring at the end of the year, so I will have, well, that's a tough decision, let me tell you, Mark. It's not an easy decision. But I'm at that point where I'll be able to devote as much time as necessary. I think particularly in the beginning of the inception of this new form of government, it's going to take a lot of time. And it's going to take a lot of effort and maybe some consultation with different people and discussions that are going to have to take place. And I'm willing to put that time in.
Do you think it's appropriate for yourself, if elected, and other council members to have a daily presence in the courthouse? Or would you take some sort of other measure to make sure that you're accessible to the employees and to the public? Well,
I'll be accessible. I don't think it's necessary for me to be daily in the courthouse. Hopefully once the county manager position has been filled, that person has a lot of responsibility in the operation of the county functions every day. And then that's his or her responsibility. And I would hope that we can all agree as council members to support that. Certainly I will be there present when necessary, and certainly I will be accessible via the phone, via email, via whatever choice of communication means they request.
Okay. Would you approve the hiring of a relative to a county authority board or commission?
No. No.
Not under any circumstances?
No.
Do you have an area of expertise, a skill that you think you would bring to this council, be it numbers and budgeting, a legal background, a lot of research, negotiation experience?
Well,
Things along that line?
I've been involved in negotiations on both sides, whether it be from the labor point of view and also from the management point of view. But I think that my strongest thing that I would bring to the council is a fact that I know that we have to build a consensus among the council members. And you have to work at that to build a consensus so that everybody can support decisions that come out of the council. That's going to be a critical element, because when you put 11 people in a room to make decisions, you have to build that consensus and you have to make it open to everybody so everyone can buy into that. And I've gotten that through all my work experience at the schools and now in my work experience at the Commission on Economic Opportunity. I've served on a lot of large committees and know how that consensus building, has to take place and what kind of work it does require to build that consensus. So I think that would be a very strong point. Obviously, my experience, 40+ years of working in the community, schools, now working in a community action agency, those are good points that I think I can bring to the council.
Do you feel you have particular characteristics, attributes that would be?
I think my strongest characteristic would be honesty and integrity. That's what I've pretty much stood on my entire career, and that's what I will maintain.
One of the most challenging tasks that this group is going to have, obviously, is crafting a budget that's going to be a workable plan. Do you have specific suggestions for areas where money can be saved, or on the flip side of that, do you think that there are areas where the county is missing out on revenue?
Well, in the budget, there's really two major parts of any budget: revenue stream and then expenditures. So you have to work on both of those parts. My hope would be to grow the revenue, and grow the revenue by looking at your fee structures and looking at what services the county provides, what kind of income can be derived from those services, see what kind of services the community wants that you maybe can increase your revenue stream. And then on the other side, the expenditure side, you're always looking for efficiencies. Obviously, with the growth of computers and software and all the things that are available, there certainly can be some efficiencies found. And talking to several of the people who work in the county, both at the management level and at the rank and file level, they have had suggestions in regards to kind of software that can be used in the different departments that would improve the efficiency and hopefully lead to reductions in expenditures.
And what about the first part of that? Can you give us any concrete examples, one or two, of fee structures or services?
Well, if you look at in the community development, there's money that is derived from real estate transfer. They are able to put in a fund which can help with development of community facilities, such as the Courtright program in Wilkes-Barre, which has been touted very favorably by a lot of people in the city and the county and nationally. You look at the Pine Street development down in Hazleton, where again another neighborhood was pretty much a blighted neighborhood that was changed over into a great residential area where people could move into homes that were energy efficient, provided great housing situations, and that was through those funds that were accumulated through those real estate transactions. We should look to expand those situations. Look to see what the fees are reasonably, to promote those funds.
Okay. What do you feel is the county's responsibility in funding outside organizations, things such as public libraries?
Well, I'm an educator, retired, but I'm still an educator. Library are a very important asset to all our communities. We have to look to help our libraries. That's an asset that you don't want to go away. It's very much an integral part of any strong community, and we want to have a good library system. And we got to look to help those people. It might take a little different format, depending on how it has to be done, but we have to make sure that the library system's in place and is very strong.
What if it were outside of education, and what about recreation, like a Moon Lake Park or something?
Recreation, I've lived in the Wyoming Valley, Luzerne County for many, many years. And I think that recreation is a strong part of our community. We have to have those facilities available. The number of people who take advantage of recreation is amazing. It's not just children, adults. Moon Lake, Francis Slocum, the soccer fields, softball fields in the 44th Dike area. Those are all heavily used by a lot of different organizations. I would support trying to make our recreation the best possible, efficient, but provide the services.
Couple questions about the county employees and the benefit packages. What do you think is a reasonable fringe benefit package for county employees, things such as sick days and vacation days?
I'd have to really review all the contracts, and then, as you know, there are many contracts because there's many different groups that are represented there by different contractual collective bargaining agreements. I think a reasonable one is something along the lines of, maybe 10 sick days or something of that nature, a couple personal days. I don't know exactly what currently is in place. I think once you get a system where everybody reports to the county manager, it'll be much easier to formulate something that will make sense and be more uniform across all the county workforce. Currently with the way it's divided up, it's a little different, a little tough to uniformly apply those rules.
That was my next question, actually, was with your experience in negotiation, what do you think is the likelihood of getting that uniformity across those different groups?
Well, I think you work towards that. It's a process. It's not something you can do overnight, but I think you work towards that. And I do think people are, ready to sit down and talk about things of those nature. And, you look around, the community, you look around nationally, things are happening with the workforce and salaries and compensation and how things are approached. And I think people are very willing to sit down and talk and make reasonable decisions that are beneficiary to both the worker and, in this case, Luzerne County.
If elected, will you bring a particular issue to the council for consideration? Is there something you feel passionate about that isn't being discussed?
I feel passionate about Luzerne County, and I would work to make Luzerne County the finest county in the state. I don't have any personal agenda or issues.
All the council members will have equal voting power, but a council chairperson obviously is going to preside over meetings, communicate with the clerk's office, and be guaranteed a seat on certain boards, retirement and airport boards among them, I believe. Would you want to be that chairperson? And if not, what qualities would you be looking for in the chair?
Well, would I want to be the chairperson? I think that after discussing with our, my colleagues, council members, decision would be made there. As far as what qualities I would be looking for, I would be looking for a leader who is open, who is willing to build consensus among the group, and who is honest and fair, and people feel that he represents the council as a whole and not just individuals or a particular group.
Obviously, there's always a certain level of media interest in the county's operations. We think that's going to be amplified significantly at the start of next year with the new council. What do you think is the appropriate way for the council to communicate with news outlets, not just the Times-Leader, but all the outlets? For the council to designate a spokesperson, or for each council member to be communicating his or her own?
On that question, that's kind of interesting, and I thought about that a little bit. I think it would be great to have someone who would be a spokesperson who would be readily available, only because then the media would have a focal point to hone in on or to directly contact. But I have no problem with people, voicing their opinions if they're a member of the council or whatever position they may hold. I think that I know myself, I would be readily available if somebody would like to speak with me. I may refer and say, hey, the statement that we released is what my feelings are, but I would certainly be willing to say that.
Okay. Questions from the group at this point?
How much do you expect to spend on your campaign?
Right now, I think, I thought that'd be a question this morning. Right now, I think I've spent about $1,300 from the primary to current. I expect to spend probably, maybe $1,000 more or something of that nature, give or take. It's hard sometimes to really know what your final expenditures will be, because the last minute sometimes things do come up that you have to, spend some money on.
Have you been spending your own money, or have you been taking donations?
I had a small fundraiser, a $20 fundraiser back the latter part of September. And I've received some individual donations that were unsolicited. Nothing more than $100, I believe, at this point, and most of them are less than that. And I have not solicited any donations, but I certainly am willing to accept them. If I feel it's an inappropriate donation, I will return it.
Do you feel you have a base of support among a certain group? Like, is it people in your own community who recognize you, educators, your golf club? I don't know. Are there certain people who you think voted for you and who are going to come out?
Well, I think I had a wide range of people vote for me. Obviously, I'm well known in my community, the West Side, Kingston. Born and raised there, pretty much lived there most of my life. So obviously, you know, there's a certain amount of name recognition, friends, etc. In fact, it was very interesting. I had a person who graduated with me from high school, which is a while ago, called me about 3 weeks ago and invited me to a breakfast one morning. And there was about 12 to 15 of my former classmates who were there, and they were all great, and they were all very supportive. And that just came out of a phone call one evening. Obviously, I was in education for a long time, served on a lot of committees, was involved heavily in athletic programs throughout Wyoming Valley and District 2. So I have a lot of people there who I've worked with, I'm friends with. So that was another group. I do like golf, and I am a golfer. Not the greatest golfer. I chase the ball around the course, but I do have friends that golf, and obviously, those people recognize my name and know what kind of person I am.
Are you getting support from the political party?
From the Democratic Party, yes. The Democratic Party is supporting the entire group of candidates.
In what way? What can they offer to the?
Well, they've offered us a chance to work together. They will be doing some printing of poll cards. They will be doing some printing of placards for the poll locations. And I think they started an advertisement on one of the cable stations, I believe.
What did you feel about the campaign in the spring? Did you have any concerns about the way candidates conducted themselves, about the way the race?
Well, I think in the spring, it was a very large field of candidates. And I think at times people were somewhat confused by that number. It was very large. I think on the Democratic side there was 2 different computer screens. But I think most people were able to work their way through that and find the people they wanted to vote for, and did. I found most of the candidates to be real nice people, cordial people. I really have no complaints about any particular person or group. My idea is, hopefully when we get through all this whole process and we have an elected body, that we can all work together for the betterment of the county.
Have you joined with any of the other candidates to form a coalition of some sort? Say for both
I'm working with the Democratic group of candidates. I have not joined with an individual group or several different groups or whatever. I'm working with that group.
Other questions from the group at this point? Anything?
Are there any things that you see need to be changed in the charter over time that you'd like to see?
Well, my first thing with the charter is I think we have to give a chance to operate. I'm a very firm believer when you make a change, you should allow that change to be implemented and sort of get running before you start looking at what's good and bad. I think once you see it in operation and give it a little bit of time to get the kinks rolled out, then I think would be the time to review it. And then you could come up with maybe some suggestions or recommendations that would improve the charter. And I certainly think that that was something that should be done, but after a period of time, allow it time to operate.
Anything else? My last question is just about the endorsement interview. Do you feel that we asked the appropriate questions, covered the topics that should be? Did you get a chance to make your points?
Well, I will make a couple points when
yeah, my next
but as far as the questions, I thought were very fair and open. and I appreciate that.
What haven't we asked about that you particularly want to mention, or anything you want to emphasize?
Well, I think you've asked basically the questions that I would have asked when I sat down to look and think about things and try to give myself a little idea and set up a plan of what I should be looking at closely. I think you pretty much covered all of that. A couple things on my behalf is, number one, I think I would provide the time, energy necessary to fulfill the position. You know, I have a lot of experience. At this point in my career, I can put that time and energy into it. And 10 or 15 years ago, when I was working full-time with a family, I don't know if I would have been able to put that effort forth. But currently, right now, I'm at that point in time where I could. I think the consensus building is a very critical element in hopefully the efficient operation of this council. You have to work hard to build that consensus so that each and every member of that council feels like they're part of those decisions. And when those decisions come forth, everyone hopefully will support those decisions so you have a good basis. And, you know, obviously, you asked in the spring a lot about the county manager, maybe not so much today because I think a lot of things have been done over that period of time. But that's going to be a critical element. That county manager is going to have to be a real workhorse and someone that people have confidence in. And, you know, and that person will certainly have to be able to communicate to other people in the community, council members, workforce, whatever it may be.
Are you comfortable with the way this search process tentatively is playing out in terms of the transition committee?
I'm comfortable in the fact that they started and, you know, set up a advertisement, did a job description, have advertised, you know, accumulated the applications at this point in time. I'm comfortable with that because that's going to be a big step forward once the council is elected. But I do think, and I think legally, the council is the group that's going to have to make that final decision. Certainly, any of the recommendations that have been brought forth through that transition process should be recognized and, you know, evaluated for what their worth is.